All right, today, boys and girls, we are going to learn how to measure the true volume of your pond. I have always guesstimated this pond at approximately 2,500 to 3,000 gallons. Using the online measurement tools, I found recently that they are drastically incorrect. They're only even close if you have a rectangle that is straight up and down walls and completely flat bottom surfaces, which I don't know about you guys, but I am not that precise in my shelf carving abilities. So based on the size of this pond, I think it was guesstimated or estimated on those calculators as like 4,500 gallons. By the time I put shelves and rocks in there again, I was kind of always around that 2,500 to 3,000 gallon figure. I don't know how accurate it is. I have a feeling it's drastically inaccurate. So what you can see is I'm actually building out an expansion of the pond because I never thought I was going to have this many fish. There are like 30 to 32 koi in here, something like that. And obviously this is just way too small. There's a section that's about 4 feet down on the bottom, and then I have some shelves and things like that. But this is essentially a 10 by 14 or 12 by 16, something like that off the top of my head. So basically I was trying to equally mimic something over here. I'm going to cut out this section and just basically double the pond, which should, if my logic is correct, put me at about 6,000 gallons. However, I have a very funny feeling I'm not even close. If I strip out the water down to this first ledge here, just a little bit below that ledge, that's about 600 gallons. So if I go down 612, I'm guessing I'm probably maybe a little bit over 2,000 gallons, but I don't know. We're going to find out. So how are we going to find this out? I was just advised that there is a calculation that you can use that is within like 5 or 10% of your total capacity, if not even smaller margin of error. But basically you add salt, you get your pre-addition of salt salinity amount. Then you add X amount pounds of salt. We're probably going to start off with 5 pounds or maybe go to 10 pounds because I kind of have an idea where we're at. So we're going to add some salt to the pond. We're going to take some afterwards measurements, and then there is there's a calculation I'm going to add here in the video from Kadoma Koi Farms that shows you how to calculate this. And we're going to find out once and for all where we're really at, and that's going to give us a judge on if I'm even going big enough for the expansion, for the amount of koi that I have. So let me show you what you guys are going to need. Alright, so you're going to need a scale. Yes, I know that is not the right scale, but this is what I have sitting around the house. You're going to need salt, so I actually have water softener salt there that I use for healing my koi in my pond. So we have that there. We have a bucket that I'm just going to put the salt in the bucket to weigh it. And then we have a tub here that I'm going to put some water and the salt in it. I'm going to create the mixture, let it all, basically let it all mix in with the water and create a solution. And then I'm going to dump it into the pond. But the most important part of this is the expensive part. I guess it doesn't always have to be expensive, but I did it the expensive route. So I'm not good at math. I have very elementary math skills, if not worse. So there are other salinity meters that will read total dissolved liquids, I guess it is. We're gonna have to do some calculations. This just flat out tells me what the percentage of salt is, so there's no messing around. This is going to tell me the actual figure I need. So let's go ahead and take the initial figure. I think it was at like 0.6. I'm sorry, not 0.6, 0.02 or 0.2 last week, something like that. Before I drained out some water, added some new filtration, did some stuff. Let's see where we're at now. All right, so we have our meter here. We're gonna go ahead and turn it on. All right, and it should be in measuring mode. Let's see what we got without falling in the pond today. And go ahead and do the measure again. .08 we're reading here. Get it a little bit better there. So hopefully you can see it. 0.08, 0.09. That's where we're at. All right, so I'm gonna go ahead and make up my mixture, and based on how many pounds it takes to get up whatever percent, you do your equation, and that's how many gallons you have. All right, so again, not the most precise measurements, but this thing weighs 0 pounds, so some number of ounces. I'll probably just give it a smidge more salt for the calculation, just for good measure. All right, so if you can see that, we got to 5 pounds of salt. You can see it on there. Again, my scale's acting a little weird, but it should be about 5 pounds. And I did actually back that up by weighing myself without the salt, and then weighing myself with the salt, so I'm pretty much dead on 5 pounds. So we're gonna go ahead and dump the salt in here, dump some water in here, let this mix up, and we'll come back and we'll do the measurements. All right, so just put a little bit of water in there. We'll let the salt dissolve. I'm gonna go out for breakfast. After the salt dissolves, we'll pour it in the pond. We'll give it a couple hours to mix through, if not overnight, and then we'll take another reading. Okay, so that salt is not extremely water soluble, at least quickly. So this will definitely be easier to do with a more fine salt than the chunk salt like this. But I went and dumped that 5-gallon solution in here. I'm probably gonna have to check it tomorrow because I don't think that stuff's gonna break down quick enough, but we'll check in a few hours, and then we'll check it tomorrow and see if we can come up with our measurements. All right, so we're gonna go ahead and test the salinity in the water again. Let's get it on, and we got 0.11. So we went from 0.08, 0.09 to 0.11 with 5 pounds. Disregard my dog. She thinks it's playtime. Let's go ahead and do the calculations. All right, so I did my calculations on this, and it turns out I've actually been dead nuts on with what I've been estimating my pond volume at is 3,000 gallons. So you can see up here, before adding the salt, we were teeter-tottering on 0.08 to 0.09 percent. Before adding 5 pounds of salt. I just took the 0.09, which would have basically underestimated to get my 3,000 gallons. After adding 5 pounds of salt, we got a 0.11 measurement, and that was you know, after a few hours. We'll try this again tomorrow just to make sure. We did a 0.02 to 0.03 change, but again, I took the smaller value that would technically make my volume calculated a smidge less, but the numbers are really negligent. So there's a couple ways you can do this. You can do the 0.02 times 10, then divided by 100. Take that number, divide it by 5, and then times 1.2 gives you 3,000 gallons. Or you can take your last number, 0.11, minus 0.09, which gives you 0.02. Then you take the pounds of salt you added times 12, so I added 5 pounds of salt times 12 gives you 60, and then you take 60 divided by 0.02, which gives you 3,000 gallons. So my guesstimates this whole time, I guess I've been safe. 3,000 gallons on the dot. That makes me feel a lot better, because what I'm adding here, I'm going to try and add the same amount of volume over here to there, so that's good. I'd like to get 6,000 gallons. At absolute worst 5,000, but I definitely want to try and get 6,000 gallons out of this. So there you guys go. Hopefully that helps you out with learning how to calculate your pond volume. And if you use an online calculator, it turns out it is going to be quite a bit off. In my case, I had that expectation that it was not going to be what that volume was, and I kind of undercut that by a good bit, and it turns out I was dead on because of that. So hopefully you guys learned something today. I did as well, and we'll keep on trucking with the pond expansion.